4 body parts, yes, just 4. And if she keeps showing you these, not once, not by accident, but again, and that there's a very high chance she wants your attention more than she wants to admit. Because here's what most men never understand: a woman will rarely say, I like you. If a woman ever says she likes you, her body often starts speaking first. But that's what most men completely miss. They wait for words, for direct signals, for obvious flirting, but attraction rarely begins that way. It usually starts in silence, in small movements, in unconscious habits, in the tiny things she does when she becomes aware of your presence. A woman may never openly confess interest in the beginning, but her body can quietly reveal what her mouth is still trying to hide. This happens because real attraction affects the nervous system before it affects speech. When someone emotionally matters to us, our body reacts faster than our logic. One random sign means almost nothing. That is where most men make the biggest mistake. They see a single smile, one glance, one playful touch, and immediately build an entire fantasy in their head. But attraction does not reveal itself through one isolated moment. It reveals itself through repetition, through patterns, through consistency. A woman who likes you will usually not just give you one sign once and disappear. She will repeat certain behaviors around you again and again, often without realizing she's doing it. That's because genuine interest creates habits. When someone affects us emotionally, our body and behavior start responding in similar ways every time that person is around. We become more aware, more alert, more expressive, more self-conscious, and more reactive. This repetition is what separates real attraction from random politeness or coincidence. Anyone can laugh once. Anyone can look at you for a second. Anyone can be nice in one moment. But when the same signals keep showing up over multiple interactions, that's when it starts to mean something. For example, if she only touched her hair once while talking to you, that could mean absolutely nothing. Maybe she was just fixing it. But if every time you speak to her, she starts adjusting her hair, touching her neck, changing her posture, or becoming slightly more animated, then it becomes harder to ignore. If she looked at you once, that's nothing. But if you keep catching her looking at you across the room during conversations, or when she thinks you're not paying attention, now a pattern is forming. Patterns matter because they reveal what the mind is consistently focused on. The same goes for proximity. If she happened to stand close to you once, that may be accidental. But if she repeatedly finds ways to be near you, sits beside you, lingers after conversations, or stays physically present longer than necessary, that's different. Repeated closeness is often a stronger sign than any single flirtatious gesture. People naturally make room for those they feel drawn to, and they unconsciously create distance from those they don't feel interested in. Her energy around you also becomes important when it keeps repeating. Maybe she gets quieter every time you're around. Maybe she gets more playful. Maybe she teases you more than others. Maybe she suddenly becomes more aware of how she looks or how she sounds. One time could be mood, but if it keeps happening specifically with you, it reveals emotional investment. Attraction often has a rhythm. And once you notice that rhythm, you stop being confused by isolated moments. This is why smart men don't react to every little sign. They observe over time. They watch what repeats. They notice what changes when they enter the room. They compare how she behaves with them versus how she behaves with everyone else. Because repeated signals are where the truth lives. A single moment can be misleading, but a pattern is much harder to fake. When attraction is real, it usually leaks out again and again through behavior, eye contact, body language, attention, and presence. Her eyes are often the strongest place where attraction reveals itself, because the eyes are the hardest thing to fully control. A woman can manage her words, hide her intentions, act casual, and even force certain expressions, but her eyes usually expose what she feels before she is ready to admit it. That is why men who understand eye contact often understand attraction far better than men who only listen to words. The eyes don't just look, they linger, react, search, soften, and return. And when a woman likes you, those small shifts become impossible to ignore. One of the clearest signs is when she keeps looking at you when she thinks you are not paying attention. This is powerful because it shows unguarded attention. Ria, when someone is emotionally curious about you, their eyes naturally return to you even without conscious effort. She may look at you across the room during a group conversation or in quiet moments when there is no real reason to be watching you. Then, the moment you catch her, she quickly looks away or suddenly pretends to focus on something else. That quick withdrawal often says more than a long stare ever could, because it reveals she was already watching before she realized you noticed. Another strong sign is prolonged eye contact. Not just normal eye contact, but eye contact that lasts slightly longer than what feels casual. That extra second matters. Attraction often lives in the tiny pause where neither person looks away immediately. It creates tension, awareness, and a silent question between two people. If she repeatedly holds your gaze, especially while smiling softly or speaking in a calmer tone, that often shows emotional openness. She is not just hearing you, she is feeling your presence more deeply than she would with someone she sees as ordinary. Her eyes may also soften when she talks to you. This is something many men feel but cannot explain. The expression becomes less sharp, less neutral, and more emotionally present. There is often warmth, curiosity, and a kind of gentle focus that feels different from how she looks at other people. A woman who likes you often watches your face closely, not because she is simply listening, but because she is unconsciously studying you. She wants to read your reactions, your confidence, your tone, and whether you are noticing her too. One of the most overlooked signs is when her eyes move between your eyes and your lips. This usually happens in moments of emotional tension or physical awareness. She may not even realize she is doing it, but it often reveals a deeper level of attraction. It shows that her attention is no longer purely social, it has become more personal, more intimate, and more focused on your presence as a man rather than just a conversation partner. Even nervousness in the eyes can be a sign. Sometimes attraction does not make her bold, it makes her shy. She may struggle to hold your gaze for long, then keep returning to it again. She may smile and look down, then look back up. She may become quieter while still watching you carefully. That push and pull often comes from emotional tension, where part of her wants connection and another part wants to hide what she feels. Her eyes become the place where interest keeps leaking out, no matter how composed she tries to appear.